getting swamped. And you've sent over a really fascinating mix of materials, this time flashcards on global politics, digital transformation, disaster response, quite the range. So our mission today, to kind of weave these threads together, find the connections, and give you some solid takeaways for understanding, well, the complicated world we're in.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting when you lay these topics side by side, you start to see how interconnected everything is. The challenges, the opportunities, they don't exist in neat little boxes. Looking at just one gives you only part of the story.
Okay, great. Let's jump right in then. Geopolitics, navigating all that complexity. One thing that jumped out was this idea that in today's world, this whole VUCA thing, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, it's not just governments calling the shots anymore. Why is it so important, if you're trying to figure this stuff out, to look at non-state actors too? The big companies, the NGOs.
That's such a fundamental point. The old way of looking at it, just focusing on nation states, it really doesn't cut it anymore. Think about multinational corporations. They have immense economic power, right? And that translates inevitably into political clout. They shape trade, they invest huge sums, they lobby governments. They're political actors, whether they intend to be or not. And then you have NGOs, often working right on the ground, influencing public opinion, pushing for policy changes, sometimes even delivering aid where governments can't or won't.
Right.
So the risks you face, the opportunities you might find, they're not just coming from state decisions, they're emerging from this really complex web of interactions between all these players. And that's where this idea of critical geopolitics comes in. It pushes you to look beyond just borders and, simple power dynamics.
Okay, so it's a much messier, more crowded field. Makes sense when you look at the news. Now, what about this framework mentioned space, power, representations? Sounds a little academic, maybe. How does that actually help you make better strategic calls when something big happens, like that semiconductor shortage we saw?
Well, it sounds abstract, but think of it as a lens. It helps you dig deeper than just the surface level crisis. Take the semiconductor shortage. Space isn't just Taiwan or South Korea where the factories are. It's also the political space, like U.S.-China tensions, right? And the sociocultural space, what drives consumer demand.
Okay.
Power. That's not just government rules. It's the huge market power of companies like TSMC. It's industry groups. And maybe most importantly, representations. How does each player talk about the shortage? Is it national security, pure economics, a tech bottleneck?
The narratives.
Exactly. The stories people tell about it. So using that triangle space, power, representations, helps you see the underlying currents. It's not just supply and demand. It's national interests clashing, corporate strategies playing out, cultural factors, and how they all influence each other. It's about those feedback loops.
That feedback loop idea clicks. It's not just separate buckets. Okay, you mentioned digging deeper. What about the local level?